Do you ever feel like the more you try to embrace your femininity and practice self-care, the lazier and more indulgent you become? As someone who struggled with binging tendencies, whether it was food, TV, sleep, I tried countless tactics to try to improve my relationship with myself in the hopes that by doing so, I would finally feel capable of keeping the promises I had made to myself. But the more I tried to practice self-compassion when I hadn't done what I said I was gonna do, the more I realized that it wasn't my lack of self-love that was keeping me from practicing self-discipline. And although I hear over and over again people talking about self-love and compassion as if it's the antithesis of self-discipline, I found that it is possible to be disciplined while still loving yourself and being gentle to yourself. You aren't lazy, you're just approaching it the wrong way. So what is the right way? A few years ago, I was working a corporate 9-to-5 job in a field that I had picked for the wrong reasons. I was trying to get my YouTube channel up off the ground, but struggled to ever make the time to actually create videos. I was the most unhealthy I had ever been, constantly ordering takeout, binge sleeping, watching TV, and scrolling on my phone during any hour outside of my typical working hours. During the day, I would drink multiple coffees to have enough caffeine to actually make it through my work, only to have to take sleeping pills every single night to actually get enough sleep to be functioning the next day. I found myself setting goal after goal, tracking habit after habit, just to fail again and again and again. And after I would fail, I would wallow in self-pity and be so disappointed in my inability to actually hit any goal I set. So after seeing a few YouTube videos on the concept, I tried something different. Instead of being hard on myself, I decided to treat myself how I would treat my younger child self, with compassion. I stopped talking down on myself whenever I didn't meet my goals. Instead, I would tell myself it's fine and I can just try again. That I was going through a lot right now and it was completely understandable and acceptable that I would struggle to keep these habits right now. That there are so many areas in my life that I'm struggling with right now that I didn't need to be so hard on myself for this one small piece of it. But nothing actually changed. Although my self-love had somewhat increased and I wasn't always feeling like a terrible human, I now felt almost like a child who had no understanding of consequences for their actions. If anything, I found this to just perpetuate my same behavior where I kept trying and failing and trying and failing without even trying to adjust the goal or the habit to make it fit my lifestyle so it was more achievable anyways. Then something shifted for me when I finally broke the summer of 2021. I was absolutely miserable in my job, which then led me to be miserable in my entire life, and constantly was blowing money on whatever self-care activities and self-indulgent activities that I could partake in to just feel a little bit better during the day. So I did something huge. I quit my 9-to-5 job without really much of a plan at all. I've tried to record this video once before and it did not come out well. I was trying to put on makeup, look good for the video, you know what I mean? But I realized that doing so was not a reflection on how I'm feeling right now. And I wanted this to feel very real and really true show of what it's like to quit your job and how it feels afterwards, especially if you don't have a specific plan or maybe you have ideas but it's not like fully figured out yet. And started on my journey of trying to figure out what exactly I wanted to do for me. And this is when my breakthrough happened. The what, how, why method, also called the golden circle, is a theory used in marketing and branding used to establish a company's value proposition that they offer to their customers. And if we take this same principle and apply it to our goals, we start to see an issue with the current way we look at discipline and self-love. The what can be the goal or habit that you're trying to achieve. The how can be the plan or the action steps that you are going to take to achieve that goal. And the why is the reasoning for even setting this goal or habit in the first place. What I found was that my system, my golden circle that I was using was inherently flawed and made it impossible for me to actually practice self-love and self-compassion when it came to my goals in a way that would create space and room to also practice self-discipline. For example, if my goal or my what was to lose 10 pounds, then when I was trying to practice self-love or compassion, I would tell myself,
It's okay that you haven't lost the weight yet. It takes time to come off.
Or
it's okay that you gained the weight in the first place. You were going through a rough time and it's completely understandable.
if my how to reach the goal was, say, to complete a 15-day Chloe Ting workout challenge, then I would practice self-love and compassion by telling myself,
it's okay if you don't want to do the challenge today. Your muscles are extremely sore. You've been pushing yourself really hard. Why don't you just take a break today? Go give yourself a nice bath to relax those muscles, and you can start back up again tomorrow.
And while these principles hold very well when you're talking about the what and the how, watch what happens when you get to the why. Why was I trying to lose 10 pounds? When I set this why, my reason was that I wanted to just feel more confident and comfortable and wanted to meet this beauty standard that we were shown all over social media and in society as a whole. So if I was to try to show myself grace for this one, I would say things like,
it's okay to not feel confident right now. And it's okay if you don't live up to these beauty standards that are set for us.
And it may not have clicked for you yet, but what I just did was convince myself through showing grace and compassion for my why that my goal was pointless in the first place. If my why for this was just to feel confident, why did I feel that losing weight was the thing that would lead to confidence? And why was I trying to live up to some beauty standard that I never set for myself in the first place? Once you use this concept of self-love for a goal that doesn't have the right why, it's impossible to practice self-discipline because you're going to consistently over and over again tell yourself exactly why you shouldn't have the goal in the first place and why it's basically pointless to try to continue it. This is because we often set unhealthy goals or goals that are not focused on ourselves in the first place. Now, of course, that doesn't mean every goal needs to be all about you, but at the end of the day, if your goal does not lead back to some type of preservation or positive effect on your own life, then really, why are you doing it anyways? Even if I apply this to wanting to, say, make a certain amount of money in my life so I can help support my family in the future financially, at the end of the day, that's going to provide a really amazing positive value for me, even if the goal isn't necessarily about me. But the concept behind it and the why behind it is something that would be pretty impossible to convince myself against when I'm going through this self-love thought process. So in this scenario, the problem isn't that I was focusing too much on self-discipline and being way too hard on myself, nor was it that I was showing myself too much grace, too much self-compassion, too much self-love, and enabling myself to not keep the promises I made anyways. The problem was that the why was never about me to begin with. Last summer, I completed the 75 hard challenge, even though it has a bad rep for being pretty toxic or not sustainable. The creator is pretty rough with his languaging and constantly says things like, don't listen to your inner bitch voice and all. Some may find this too harsh, and a lot of women don't love the challenge and feel that it's more created and fit for men. I found this to be exactly what I needed to finally focus on myself and my goals. I set out to do this challenge to finally have a why that was for me and me only, to feel better in my body and my mind. And by focusing on the why, I was able to practice this self-discipline daily for the what and the how, which led me to actually completing the challenge. So here's what that looked like in practice. My what was to get and feel healthy and improve my mental fortitude. The how was by following the 75 hard challenge. And the why was to gain confidence in my ability to show up for myself. And when I felt like quitting on any given day, which happened quite frequently, I was able to walk through that self-love thought loop for the what, how, and why, but come to a very different conclusion. So if I want to be healthy, it's okay to go easy on myself every now and then. I can take a break every once in a while when I need it. For the how, I really want to complete this challenge, but I'm really exhausted and I didn't get enough sleep last night. And honestly, it would probably be better for my body if I just rested and started again tomorrow anyways. But then I get to the why. My why was that I want to gain confidence in my ability to show up for myself. How can I possibly convince myself that it would be better for me to not show up for myself today to gain the confidence in showing up for myself. You see what I mean? The best way for me to reach that why would be for me to complete the challenge. And I was able to adjust the challenge to still meet the qualifications while going easy on myself that day and having a little bit more rest baked into my schedule. But I could still show up for myself in whatever way possible from where I was at on that day to complete that day's challenge and ultimately reach my goal and reach that why. When you have a strong why that ties back to you, it's so much easier to practice discipline in a way that actually is leading you back to practicing self-love. Self-discipline leads to self-love. Consistency leads to confidence. Many of us, myself included, have tried to do it the other way around. But for me personally, that never worked. Whatever your goals are, they have to come back to a healthy why that supports a better you if you want to actually find success. So how are you going to shift the goals that you have set for yourself right now to realign your why? Let me know in the comments down below. I would love to hear about how you guys are doing this. And if you're considering doing the 75 hard challenge, then make sure to go watch this video next where I talk about my complete experience, the highs, the lows, everything in between, and ultimately how it changed my life for the better. But that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.